our beloved, merciful, empowered President Shruti Dharma Prabhu has given me the subject to speak tonight. On the month of Kartik, which is a very profound subject. It is the holiest month of the year. This particular month is presided by Srimati Radharani, the Ladini Shakti, the ultimate origin of all prema or spiritual love, and the supreme bestower of compassion upon all living beings, who is Vrindavaneshwari, the Queen of Vrindavan. And those who perform sincere spiritual practice in the mood that Srimati Radharani has taught in her form as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, who came to taste the infinite sweetness of Sri Radha's love. The Bhagavad Gita tells, Vedaham samatithani vartamanani charjana bhavashyani chabhutani mam tu vedana kashtana. Krishna knows past. He knows all happening in present. He knows everything that is going to happen in the future. He's within every living being's heart. He knows every thought, every desire that we've ever had as spirit souls through all of our lifetimes. He knows everything. But Sri Radha's love is so ever increasingly sweet and beautiful. It's the one thing he wants to know more. So Krishna takes the beautiful complexion of Sri Radha and accepts her Mahabhav, her love for him, her compassion for all beings. And he comes to this world in the age of Kali to teach us how to connect to that love. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita explains how Krishna was thinking. Chaitanya Charitamrita gives us intimate entrance into Krishna's thoughts beyond this creation. That he incarnates many, many times within this world. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. He comes to establish dharma, or the true principles of religion. He comes to protect the innocent, to annihilate the ignorance. In this way, all the great spiritual paths or religions of the world are included within the teachings and the context of Bhagavad Gita. True religions. And in the Vedas, there are many incarnations of the supreme truth that has come. And it is described God's descending to this world throughout history in so many ways. But Krishna's thinking that in all of these various incarnations, I have revealed the greatness of God, the power of God, as the creator, the maintainer, the destroyer, the protector. But I am especially overcome by love that is not dependent on the supremacy of my power of being God. I am overpowered by the power of the intimacy and the sweetness of the love of Vrindavan, where the Gopis, they perceive Krishna not as the universal form. Could you imagine dancing with the universal form? Can you imagine telling jokes with Narasimhadev? Can you imagine having wrestling matches with Varahadev? God is all-powerful. But Krishna appears in his sweetest form. And the Gopis see him as lover. And in Madhurya Ras, in Vatsalya Ras, Krishna's mother and father and the elder gopis, gopas and cows, they love Krishna as a child. And the gopas, they love Krishna as a friend. And in this particular chapter, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives us little clues of the nature of the love as a lover, a friend, or as a parent. The gopas, they play with Krishna. They race with Krishna. They laugh with Krishna. He's their friend. They simply love him intimately as a friend. And Krishna is so overcome by that love that he intimately loves them as an equal. And in Vatsalya Ras, Yashoda Mai, she has full realization of the supreme power of God. But Krishna reveals himself so sweetly, with such intimacy, that sweetness totally overshadows his all-powerful creator nature. And she sees Krishna as being dependent on her. If I don't feed Krishna, how will he survive? If Krishna eats dirt, he's going to get sick. And I have to teach him not to eat dirt. Krishna's the source of all the Vedas. He's the source of all knowledge. He's the source of all existence. But as a mother, she will even chastise Krishna so that he'll learn good lessons for his well-being. And the gopis, it describes by Raghunath Das Goswamis that the greatest self-realized enlightened sages, rishis, yogis, and scholars, they chant Vedic hymns. But it doesn't give him even a millionth of the pleasure as when the gopis of Vrindavan chastise him. Because it's with such love. It's a love that surpasses all other forms of love. So Krishna descends into this world with his eternal associates from Goloka Vrindavan, just to reveal these beautiful exchanges of intimate spiritual love. to attract our hearts toward that love. To open the doors of the spiritual world for us to actually enter into these pastimes of love, both within this lifetime and forever after. Kartik is a special time of the year where the opportunity to make progress toward that love, Brajbhav, is being given to us. So during this month we have the chance to be very, very attentive for the opportunity we have. I don't know business, but I know business people. And they're always seeking opportunities. Yes, an investor, when a certain situation happens in the market, they know this is the time. If I really do right, if I make the right decisions now, it will, for the rest of my life, I will be prosperous. And in sports, there are certain situations where an opportunity arises, and if you take that opportunity, you are victorious. And if you don't, then you lose so much. So in every aspect of life, there are certain windows of opportunity where we could really have great gains. So from a spiritual perspective, Kartik is that opportunity, where whatever spiritual efforts we make with humility and sincerity, they are multiplied and magnified with special blessings. That is Sri Radha's special blessing within this month of Kartik. There are so many beautiful festivals. We were speaking about the 3 primary rasas that are unique in Vrindavan. And each one has a very special holidays in Kartik. Diwali is the day of the Damodar Leela, which is the crescendo, the ultimate manifestation of parental love and affection for Krishna, Vatsalya Ras, where Krishna is trembling and crying when his mother is accusing him of stealing butter. And she binds him with the rope of her love, and he accepts. He accepts being conquered by the love of his mother. And Gopastami is the first day Krishna is given charge of cows. Previous to that, he's taking care of calves. And in these beautiful cowherd leelas, Gopastami, he goes out to the pasture with Balaram, Subal, Sridama, Stoka Krishna, Vatsal, and all of his cowherd boys. And they're playing and they're wrestling. The cowherd boys see a peacock dancing, and they say, Krishna, can you dance like a peacock? And Krishna dances like a peacock. And he does it so good. It's ultimately, Krishna tells in Gita, I'm the ability in everyone. So when Krishna dances like a peacock, it's more peacock than peacocks. and they're all clapping and dancing, and they all start dancing like peacocks for Krishna's pleasure, and Krishna's laughing and clapping. And in this way, they're just having such loving exchanges. and they see a little frog go, and Krishna doesn't just imitate the frog, but he's better at being a frog than any frog. He's jumping like the frog, and he's croaking like a frog, and everybody's laughing, and then they're all jumping like frogs, and Krishna's laughing. They're playing amalaki fruits. Fruits are like balls that grow on trees, and they play so many games. Every game that has ever been played, the origin is Krishna playing. In its purest form, but it's play of love. It's not to win. Because really, winning and losing doesn't mean so much in this world, because you don't really get happy with when you win, and you're not really so sad when you lose. And whatever happiness you do have when you win, for sure you're going to lose eventually. And even if you lose, you may win. So this is all coming and going. Matra sparashastu konteya sitosna sukha dukkada. Agama payano nityastam stitikshasva. This coming and going of happiness, distress, victory, defeat, winning, losing, they don't touch the heart. It's the exchanges of love between the soul and God, between the Atma and the Paramatma, between us and Krishna, that actually touch the heart, that awaken ecstasy, ananda from the heart. It's the only purpose of life, is to receive that Krishna's love and share Krishna's love. So they're playing games with these amalaki fruits. They're playing so many ball games. And Srimad Bhagavatam explains so many of the wonderful ways of playing. Sometimes they're wrestling. Because they love Krishna more than everything and anything. They love Krishna limitlessly. Whatever conceptions of love of God we hear about or read about in any scriptures, including Vedas, that's just a small particle of the type of love that the cowherd boys have. They just love Krishna because he's Krishna, unconditionally. And when they're told he's God, he's Parameshwar, the supreme controller of all controllers, as far as they're concerned, whether he is or not really doesn't make any difference. He's Krishna. He's Gopal. We just love him. The way he smiles, the way he jumps, the way he speaks, the way he plays. Jiva Goswami tells a story that a little calf, when Krishna was in charge of calves, just before Gopastami, this one little calf was out for the first time and was really missing her mother. Now there was millions and millions of calves in the herd. But this is the nature of Krishna's love for us. How many living beings are there? We're trying to figure out how many people are in this temple room right now. What to speak of the human beings in London and England and on planet Earth and in the universe. And then we think about all the jivatmas who are in all species of life, all the little bacterias or little people crawling around, and the insects and the birds and the fish and animals, the devas. But Krishna, even in this world as Paramatma, is personally, intimately, individually with each one of us and never leaves us. This is the power of God's love. If we try to show our affection to someone, oftentimes we find we don't give proper time to someone else. Have you ever had that experience? But Krishna's Rasa Bihari. He could give infinite love to every living being simultaneously, fully, as if there's no one else except us. We speak God is love, but Srimad Bhagavatam explains, gives us a glimpse of what it means. So when this little calf was lonely, out of millions and millions of calves, Krishna knew. Calf was kind of all alone, thinking, what am I doing here? My mother, where is she? And Krishna went right to that calf and rubbed the calf's neck and embraced the calf and whispered in the calf's ear that I'm here for you, I'm with you, and I'll bring you to your mother really soon too. And just feeling Krishna's love, the calf was completely happy. Because ultimately Krishna is the source of even the calf's mother's love. So as a cowherd boy, Krishna as an equal is playing. And that particular day is especially celebrated in Kartik as Gopastami. Diwali, the day when Vatsalya Bhav, how Krishna is subordinate to the love of his parents' love, Yashoda Mai, is especially celebrated. Damodar Lila. Tonight is Sarat Purnima. It is the time of the whole year when the Madhurya Ras, the love of the Gopis as Krishna's lovers, is celebrated. In this way, Kartik reveals the inner essence and beauty of the Leelas of Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, on this Sarat Purnima, the full moon night, it is in many ways the most exciting festival in Vrindavan. But then, in many ways, every festival is the most exciting festival. But Shukadev Goswami describes in Srimad Bhagavatam how previously the young gopis or cowherd girls, they had such deep love for Krishna. They all wanted Krishna to be their husband. But there were so many. And ultimately, Krishna is everyone's husband. Krishna is everyone's ultimate object of love. And Krishna wanted to satisfy their wish. So just as the moon was rising, Srila Prabhupada explains in Krishna book that this particular full moon of the autumn season in India is the most beautiful night of the whole year. And in Vrindavan, by Krishna's Leela Shakti, by his internal potency, the entire environment was especially pleasing to induce spiritual love. Now I'm going to get back to Sarat Purnima in just a few minutes, because it's such a beautiful pastime of love. I'm going to speak briefly about what we celebrated in the field tonight, which is a different experience. How many of you saw Ravana burn? Well, it's in this particular festival, Dasera, or Ram Vijayotsav. It's celebrated every year just before Kartik month begins. And there's a beautiful lesson that we could learn from this, because before we can actually enter into the proper understanding of Vrindavan, true bhakti, the month of Kartik and all it represents, some cleansing of the heart is required. Ravana, in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, just before the 10th canto, it tells the story of Ram, which culminates with this particular scene, where Ram is in battle with Ravana. Sita, who's an expansion of Radha, who is the very personification source of all devotion and love, was captured by Ravana, taken away from Ram. In a similar way, the love that is within our heart, that is meant to be enjoyed by Krishna, or in this case Ram, is taken away. It's covered by avidya, or ignorance. And that ignorance, avidya, its expressions that overcome us are especially in the form of 6 enemies: kama, krodha, lust, anger, envy, greed, arrogance, and illusion. We see these as our friends. Maya means that which is not. We are deceived by these enemies. We're thinking if we serve the dictations of our envy, or our lust, or our greed, or our arrogance, we will be happy. But actually, like Ravana, they steal our propensity to love Krishna. They cover us. So Ravana stole Sita. And there was no power, even the demigods, who could stand before Ravana. It was only Ram. The Lord has appeared within the beautiful sound of his name, within the form of the deities of Radha Gokulananda. The Lord has appeared in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita to give us shelter. So when Ram was in his final battle with Ravana, he took his arrows to cut off Ravana's heads. By his mystical yogic powers, Ravana, he could manifest 10 heads at a time. Ram would shoot the arrow. And that arrow would cut off Ravana's head. And it would fall to the ground. And suddenly Another head grew. Ram took another arrow. Another head. He cut off hundreds of Ravana's heads, but within seconds, he still had the heads. They kept growing back. So this is the way these anartha, or these unwanted habits we have, are in our heart. Have you had this experience? We have some habit we really want to give up, and we make a New Year's resolution. And somehow or other it seems like it's working. You know, we control our senses from eating too much or sleeping too much, or our passionate propensities, or our anger or our envy. I controlled it. I did it. I won. But then it comes back, and no matter how many times we conquer it, it comes back. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Daiviheshu gunamai mama maya duratyaya mame vamya prapadyate maya meta duratya. That this material nature, this lust and envy and anger and greed and arrogance and illusion and all of these habits we have are beyond us. They're so powerful. But if we take shelter of the Lord, by the Lord's grace, Ragat Veshiva Muktashtu Vishayan Indriyashcharan Atma Bashara Vidhayatma Prasadam Harikachchati. When we sincerely follow these principles of bhakti, by the mercy of the Lord, we can transcend them. So each time Ram cut off the heads, they kept growing back. And Vibhishan, Ravana's brother, told Ram, and you could read about this in Krishna Dharma Prabhu's book, the Ramayana. He's written it so beautifully, so authentically. He told him that there is an amrit, there is a yogic nectar that's within him. And because of that, no matter how many times you try to defeat him, his arms, his heads will keep growing back with full power. But if you go right to the heart of it and dry up that nectar, then you will be victorious. So here's Ram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth. But he's playing the role of a human being to teach us. He's taking guidance. He's getting instructions from another. And then Agastya Muni comes, a great rishi, one of Ram's gurus. And he gave him a special arrow and gave him a mantra, the Aditya Hridaya mantra, and said, if you chant this mantra with this arrow and shoot it toward the heart of Ravana, then it will evaporate the nectar. That's what happened tonight. Who shot the arrow tonight? Somebody representing Ram, I guess. Ram pulled that arrow and chanted this mantra. Ravana fell to the ground. So when we chant Krishna's names, when we chant Ram's names with great sincerity, with humility, taking shelter of the Lord, that's the effect. It goes to the very core of the disease of ignorance. Vishayavani vartante niraharasya dehana rasavarajam rasohipasya param dristvani vartate. When the holy name cleans the heart of all of these unwanted things, then it reveals that anandam buddhivardhanam, the beauty, the sweetness, and the love of Krishna within our hearts. And that is such a higher experience. When the sun rises, all darkness is dispelled. When Krishna reveals himself by his own sweet will within our hearts, then all the darkness of ignorance is removed. So today is victory of victory of the soul over illusion, of light over darkness, which is only possible sarvadharman parityasya, when we surrender to the Lord. So when we enter into this Sarat Purnima, we understand that this is a pastime that's beyond all material illusions. It's beyond selfishness. It's the highest pastime of spiritual love, where there is no ego. There is no material lust, envy, anger, greed, illusion. It's the fullest expression of the most enlightened soul's love for God and God's love for us. So Krishna played upon his flute under the moonlight. And the beautiful sound, it was the love of his heart manifesting through his breath, through the holes of his flute that filled the environment. And it entered the holes of the ears of the Gopis and entered into their hearts and completely captured their hearts, awakened the ecstatic love of their hearts to want to please Krishna. Srila Prabhupada tells that story of Gopis, how when Krishna had headache, his servant went to so many people and told them that if you give the dust of your feet to put on Krishna's head, it will relieve his headache. Would you do that? The sages, the rishis, the pandits, they said, if we put our feet on God's head, we will go to hell. We cannot do that. And the Gopis, when they were requested, they immediately started collecting as much dust as they could from their feet and putting it in nice little packages. Said, bring it to Krishna immediately. They were told, I believe it was Narada Muni, do you know what's going to happen if you put your feet on God's head? They said, yes, of course, we will go to hell. He said, you don't mind? Don't even bother with these questions. Just, Krishna has a headache. If my going to hell forever is going to relieve Krishna of his headache for one moment, that's our greatest pleasure. That's the nature of the Gopis' love. Ahoitikiya pratihata. It's completely for the pleasure of Krishna. So they were going to the forest not to enjoy themselves, but to give their hearts and their love for Krishna's pleasure. And some of them were nursing their little babies, and they carefully put their baby down and ran to the forest. Some were serving food to their families, and they went to the forest. No, we can't imitate them. But the principle is incredibly inspiring. It's the ultimate standard of renunciation. Some were milking cows. They just left the bucket under the cow and ran to the forest. Some put their mascara on one half of their face and forgot about the other half. It says some put the bottom part of their clothes on the top part of their body and the bottom part of and they didn't even know the difference. They would lose their social position. They were going into a dark forest, which was very, very dangerous for them. But they had such a pure desire to please Krishna. Through his beautiful flute song, he was calling them. And they were responding. The greatest sannyasis, Shukadev Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath Das Goswamis, they have all glorified the Gopis' love as the highest and purest state of renunciation. In fact, in our sampradaya, when a person takes sannyas to renounce all the external pleasures and egos of this world, they're taught to follow in the footsteps of the Gopis. Shukadev Goswami, he didn't even have a sense of differentiation between a male and a female. He was on such a completely liberated, transcendental state. But even he considered the Gopis' love to be supreme. And he couldn't even state directly Sri Radha's name in Srimad Bhagavatam, because it is just so holy. And the ecstasy he would have experienced just reciting her name was beyond limits. So the Gopis' love for Krishna is held in the very ultimate highest esteem of purity. They left everything for Krishna. And when they came to Krishna, he welcomed them, and they were so happy in the beautiful Bamsivat tree on the banks of the river Yamuna. And Krishna told, now you have seen the beautiful forest of Vrindavan in the moonlight, and you've smelled the wonderful, charming jasmine and malati and malika flowers that are blooming under the moonlight, and you met me, so now you could go home again, because you have so many duties to perform. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Sundarananda Prabhu, what is... He's okay? Say again? Shall I continue? So it is tonight, Sarat Purnima, that Krishna dances with Gopis. Ras Leela. Within the month of Kartik is also the appearance day of Narottam Das Thakur, one of the greatest of our acharyas. The appearance day of Bir Chandra, who is the son of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is the full potency of Sri Nityananda Prabhu's mercy within this world. It is also a month where we celebrate Govardhana Puja, which is perhaps the most celebrated festival in Vrindavan, where Krishna, as a 7-year-old little boy, lifts the Govardhan hill with the little finger of his left hand. He did this when he was 7, and he had Ras Leela when he was 8. And Srila Prabhupada said, if you think that you can have a Ras Leela, then first you must lift Govardhan hill with the little finger of your left hand for 7 days and 7 nights. So only Krishna can do Ras Leela with Gopis. Hari Hari. But Govardhana Puja, Indra, his devotee, Krishna protects his devotee in so many ways. Indra had some pride, so Krishna protected him by taking away his pride. And through those 7 days and 7 nights of massive storms, devastating rainfalls, Krishna effortlessly kept Govardhan hill like umbrella. And the beauty of the pastime is all the various rasas, Madhurya ras, Shanta ras, Dasya ras, Vatsalya ras, Sakya ras, were all simultaneously shared between Krishna and his devotees for 7 days and 7 nights onto the Govardhan hill. It was a festival of incredible love. And when Indra was ultimately defeated, with all of his hurricane-like winds and rains, he could not remove a single leaf from a tree from Govardhan hill. He could not move a single blade of grass. Krishna humbled him. And when the sun came out, nobody wanted to leave. Everyone wanted to just be there. having the beautiful darshan day and night of Sri Giridhari. It's truly a festival of ultimate love between Krishna and his devotees, Govardhana Puja. And soon, just days after Govardhana Puja, in the month of Kartik, is a day that is most holy for all of us. The disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada left Vrindavan in 1965, he didn't know a single person outside of India. He was living in his little rooms. Only a few Brijabasis, Goswamis, and godbrothers knew him. He left Vrindavan to give the message of Vrindavan to the whole world. When he boarded the Jaladuta 51 years ago, he had approximately $7. It was a cargo ship. After crossing 2 oceans, several seas, about 3 continents, 38 days later he came to New York. And he was alone. He didn't have, in one place, Prabhupada, he spoke about his experience. He said, I had no means, I had no friend. I was wandering New York practically like a vagabond. But he said, I always felt my Guru's presence. That was in 1975, or 65. In 1972, he came back to Vrindavan with a whole group of devotees from all over the world to the same place he lived, just outside his little tiny rooms at Rupa Goswami's Samadhi and Bhajan Kutir, where he gave 1 month of classes from the Nectar of Devotion. He traveled the world about 12 times, sharing this message of Vrindavan, spreading unmotivated, uninterrupted, ecstatic love for Krishna, bringing the culture of Vrindavan as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has revealed. And it's very special to be here discussing this story, because in 1977, when he was in his last months, he couldn't even walk or sit up. He wanted to come to London. And all his doctors were totally against it. But Prabhupada came here to Bhaktivedanta Manor, in this very temple where we're sitting now. Such selfless compassion, such selfless devotion, selfless. When we read about the Gopis' unmotivated, incredible sacrifice to love and serve Krishna, we see that same spirit in Srila Prabhupada. Because there's the greatest way to please Krishna in this world is to receive his love and to share it with others. He came here to share it with all of us. And from here he returned to Vrindavan. And he left Vrindavan alone and returned to Vrindavan with tens and thousands of followers, temples all over the world, surrounding with the most beautiful, popular temple in all of Vrindavan, Krishna Balaram Mandir, surrounded by devotees, chanting the holy names with true love and gratitude in their hearts. And he physically departed in the month of Kartik from this material world. These are just a few of the events that we will be observing during this holy month. And I am now out of time. Please, my sincere, humble request is, this is such a blessed opportunity. It may take millions and millions and millions of births to receive this chance. Be grateful. Don't let any of Ravana's heads come up in your life to distract you. Be the servant of the servant of the servant. Be eager to hear from Srila Prabhupada's books and these great holy Vaishnava scriptures. Be eager to serve the devotees. Be very committed to create a community that could reach out to everyone. Everyone in London and England and in the world. And especially with all humility and sincerity, let us take shelter of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. That is the opportunity we have. And I feel very inspired to also say that if you build this Haveli, it will be very nice. It will be a shelter for so many devotees and a place where so many tens and thousands of people can receive Srila Prabhupada and Sri Radha Gokulananda's blessing. Thank you very much.